All right. Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you so much for joining on a Friday afternoon. There's always a lot going on Fridays. So thanks for joining going into the weekend. So I would love for one or somebody to jump into the chat and just say what you know about CAPI already. If you've ever heard of CAPI in Minneapolis or Brooklyn Center, if you've ever heard of it or what comes to mind when you think about CAPI. If anybody could throw that in the chat, that would be great. If you haven't heard of CAPI, don't worry. I'm just going to give you a good overview about it today. So again, my name is Leila Hussain, and I am the Community Health Manager at CAPI USA. I just moved into this role. I previously was the Benefits Access Navigator, so I was working with a lot of folks accessing public benefits and helping them apply for those programs and submit their verifications and make sure they get approved for the programs they're eligible for. Looks like somebody said job training. Yes, first stop for international immigrants. It could be, yes, and provides training and transitions into jobs. Thank you, you guys, for those responses. I didn't know what your familiarity level was with CAPI, so that's great. So job training, yes. First stop for international immigrants. There are a lot of resettlement agencies in Minnesota, but we are not one of those official resettlement agencies. So many people come to CAPI looking for help with citizenship and getting their documents or their status changed. And we don't provide any kind of legal or citizenship support for immigrants. Actually, we just do once people are a little bit more settled, we're helping them with basic needs, economic empowerment, and civic engagement. So career trainings is definitely one of those areas. And then training and transitions into jobs. Yes, that is right. All right, so I am going to start sharing my screen. I have a little presentation for you today. And just bear with me for one moment. Okay, interpreter, can you give me a thumbs up if you see that? Okay, thank you so much. Perfect. So yes, CAPI used to stand for the Center for Asian Pacific Islanders, and we were an Asian American Pacific Islander represented organization. Back in 1982, we started, and we're basically started just as a food shelf for refugees coming in the aftermath of the Vietnam War. And since then, we just kind of go by the acronym CAPI because now we're an immigrant organization. We serve immigrants, people of color, and people in need from any background. So really, most of our clients right now are Hmong or come from an Asian Pacific Islander background, but we serve immigrants and people from any background. So that's often a misconception. People think, I'm not an immigrant, I can't access CAPI's resources, but they're open to anybody. So that's something to keep in mind. Our mission statement is guiding self-determination and social equality. And we are an immigrant-led organization. So we have about 42 staff members now. We all come from a different background. Most of us come from an immigrant background. Me, myself, I come from an immigrant background. My father is from Iraq, and I speak Arabic. And so there are 19 different languages represented on our team. So if somebody comes to us with language barriers in accessing services, we really try to link them up with one of our staff members, and we work all together to get it done before we call our language line, which is an external interpretation service. So that's a really great part that I love about CAPI, that we really represent the people that we serve. And that's really important for people's comfort level when you really have to be vulnerable accessing services like this. And it can be intimidating. So just knowing that the people who are helping you come from that same background is really reassuring for some folks. And we help, like I said, immigrants, refugees, and those in need from any background meet basic needs, find financial stability, and get involved and engaged in their communities. So this is just going to be a quick video here for our 2020 recap. And this will just kind of give you a sense of CAPI and shows you a little bit about our space and then a couple client stories. So I'm just going to play this before we get started.
The organization CAPI was founded in 1982 as Center for Asian and Pacific Islanders, and it was founded right after people coming out of the Vietnam War. And in 2008, we saw there was a need to transition into a new direction, and that's why CAPI became an immigrant organization, then from an API organization. CAPI has three main pillars that includes basic need and economic empowerment, which we do employment and job training, and the last pillar is the civic engagement, where we do census outreach, civic participation, and going into 2021, we'll be doing more public policy.
I'm a mother of five. I'm 38 years old. I recently moved here about a year ago. I was able to take a course through the PCA class, which that introduced me to a different opening, and that helped me get into the job I have now, which is at a daycare.
It's an international organization. That's how I would say. So the growth and expansion and the impact in Minneapolis and Northwest Suburban, I think it's huge. And this pandemic has created so much inequities in communities of color itself.
It's been a pretty tough year with everything going on. And then with COVID, it's got a little more harder trying to deal with that.
COVID come, so we need to distance like 6 feet or farther than 6 feet. And we have to put the mask, everybody. And then, since then, I like to be the client over here, to come to the food shelf. And the food shelf are perfect. They have Asian food. We are retired and then come to Cappy for help. They really have a good help and very good food and nice people here.
So I do get food from the food shelf as well. Right before school started, you guys did backpacks for the kids. So I was able to get backpacks for the kids and masks for the kids and stuff like that. So
as I talked about the growth and expansion of the organization, there's so many things that it means. Every donation that you give to CAPI, it goes towards our food shelf. Somebody gets a grocery or bag. It goes towards someone's education, getting a credential and a soft skill training. It goes towards building that community that's really struggling, and it also helps many of our seniors who are in the program and who are isolated and homebound. So a donation matters to those seniors who really need the services at this time, especially during the pandemic.
It helps give people like me opportunities to learn more, to branch out, to reach our goals, to help our families.
We are really happy to be Cappy client.
We cannot see one community's success and the other community fail. We have to take everyone together, and that's the mission and the goal of the organization. So I just want to say thank you to everyone.
All right, yeah, that just kind of gives a little overview of what we do and kind of our three pillars. Like she said, that's Ekta, our CEO. We have basic needs, economic empowerment, and civic engagement. So let me try to get out of this quick. All right, so just to give you a little idea of where we're at. So I know that you folks might be from different areas outside of the metro. So we are on Lake Street in South Minneapolis. That was our original location. That's where a lot of folks walk in because that community around that area, there just happens to be a lot of immigrants and people living in poverty. So people walk into this building a lot. We have our receptionist there. That's our original building. And then we have the headquarters, which started in 2018 in Brooklyn Center. There was a huge need for more social services and immigrant representation in Brooklyn Center. Over half of Brooklyn Center's residents are people of color, and it's a very diverse space. So when we came to Brooklyn Center in 2018, there was just a huge demand for our services. And that's where we have most of our programs now. We have, I think, about 25 folks working out of our Brooklyn Center location. And that is where our food shelf is located as well. And that food shelf, like I said, it's a culturally specific food shelf. So it serves mainly Southeastern Asian cuisines. We have lots of specific produce and canned goods, lots of Hmong specific goods as well. So that's something unique, and it was actually the first of its kind in Minnesota. So yeah, who we serve, we last year served over 10,000 community members just with our services alone. That doesn't include outreach and events, but that's direct service in one of our programs. And last year was 13,000. And then we have most of our participants are immigrant refugee background, but like I said, anybody can access our services. There's no limitation on that. And most of the people we serve are living in poverty. So those are those 3 areas that I'm going to get into. I'm going to try to give an overview of all of our programs that we have at CAPI, but there are a lot and they're always changing and growing and evolving. So I'm going to try not to bore you, but I'm going to go through all of our programs because I think that we have lots of great resources at CAPI. This photo on the right was an initiative that I led for Ramadan for our Muslim community members. We put together Ramadan food baskets for kind of culturally specific food for that community. And that was in partnership with the Iraqi American Reconciliation Project. So we do lots of things like that, lots of initiatives, but things that you might be able to refer folks to. One of them is our food shelf that is open to anyone from anywhere. If you're outside of Hennepin County, you can't access our food shelf consistently, but if you come once, we'll definitely sign you up and get you food. But we want to serve Hennepin County residents primarily with that. The Benefits Enrollment Center is a great program that started 2 years ago. And this program is basically aimed at helping people navigate public benefits. So, you know, the county systems, the state systems can be very complex and convoluted. So this is really just meant to help people understand what benefits they are eligible for and help them with the entire enrollment process, making sure they get their verification submitted, making sure they get approved, and helping them troubleshoot with the county if they have any issues. So that's in that program, we can help people with the SNAP application, MNsure application, energy assistance, rent help MN, we're certified navigators, any type of publicly funded program we are well versed in, and we can help you with the entire process. Somebody asked here, does the Benefits Enrollment Center help with MNsure? Yes, we have 3 MNsure certified navigators on our staff. One speaks Lao and Hmong, and one speaks Thai, and then English. So we can assist in that capacity, we'll help with the whole MNsure application, getting the verification submitted. And because we're certified navigators, we can submit the application on your behalf and, you know, coordinate with MNsure directly. So it's easier than doing it yourself, and just kind of, we can answer some questions about once you are eligible for medical assistance, we can kind of guide you through that. Or if you're eligible for a qualified health plan, we guide you through that. So yeah, we have a smaller team that does that, but definitely we can take referrals for MNsure. And we have a Hmong senior program. Those are for our Hmong elders. And we have a community garden program through that for our seniors. And then we also support their caregivers. So we do support trainings and just general support services for caregivers of Hmong elders. MNsure enrollment, like I mentioned, and then COVID community coordination. If you've ever heard of CCC, this is an MDH funded project that was meant to put COVID coordinators in different areas around the state of Minnesota that are from specific cultures or language backgrounds. So we have a Lao, Hmong, and Thai speaking COVID community coordinators. It's a mouthful. And they basically just help people access vaccine sites, testing sites, COVID-19 information. And they really drove the effort to get the Asian American Pacific Islander community fully vaccinated. Like the rates amongst this community are the best in Minnesota for any like racial or ethnic background. And so they have been really driving that success. They have a hotline that you can call them if you have questions about COVID, where to get your vaccine, when you're eligible, you know, all that information. So they do lots of great work, and they host clinics at CAPI for vaccines. I just got mine yesterday. We had a vaccine clinic at Cappy and we all got our boosters. So that was great. And then we have a new program called the Grow Group program. That is a mental health, trauma-based mental health group program. So it's facilitated by a therapist, but it's really a group program focused on mental health for people who have been through any type of trauma. That is for Lao and Hmong community members, and they're currently recruiting for that. So I would love to have any referrals you have for folks who are of that background and just interested in developing some skills through a group-based program. And we have Rent Help MN navigators. So like I said, we'll help you with the rental assistance application and make sure you get everything submitted for that. Unfortunately, right now, we're really starting our housing program, but we don't have any housing navigators right now. I know there's a huge need for that and just such a lack of resources in that area. So we're right now in the midst of developing a new housing navigation program. And lastly, we just do lots of supply events. This weekend, we have one where we drop off a lot of food, extra food from our food shelf at different community events. So let's see here. Okay, second area is economic empowerment. This might be kind of your interest as educators, people working with folks who are looking for careers or other trainings. We have some really great career trainings through our Career Pathways program. Right now we have the Cna and Manufacturing tracks. So we're currently recruiting for our Cna and Manufacturing trainings. These are completely free trainings that we partner with Hennepin Technical College and I think Minneapolis. I'm not sure what the other college that we partner with, but they provide the full training and you get your certification. It's completely free. You get college courses, and then we actually do job placements after that. So we partner with some different medical facilities and different factories. So we can help place folks in a job right after they're finished with their training. So we've had really great feedback about these trainings, and most of our students graduate and get a job. So it's a really tangible impact. And I can connect you with the Career Pathways coordinator if you have more questions about that. We also have flyers for our upcoming Cna and Manufacturing trainings I can share out. If there's any interest, you can put it in the chat. And then we do general job search and job readiness. So we'll help people develop their resume and do mock interviews, and we have resume clinics often. And once a year we have the volunteer income tax assistance. So that's tax preparation assistance in partnership with Prepare and Prosper to help get your taxes done for folks who can't afford it. And we have one personal financial coach at Cappy. She'll help you with budgeting, reducing your debt, building wealth, like just the whole 9 yards. We'll sit you down, look at your finances, and kind of develop a plan for you. Then we have home stretch workshops for folks who are first-time home buyers. And this really gives people just the training and the knowledge in a very complex process, and then gives them referrals to speak with a broker and a realtor. And then the last thing we have in this department is the Mfip program. So we partner with Hennepin County and we have Mfip counselors. This is not something we take referrals for, but I just like to throw it in there that we do help with certain cases for Mfip. Lastly, we have, and feel free to just throw things in the chat if you have questions. I'm monitoring the chat. So lastly, we have civic engagement and public policy. So this is kind of a newer area for Cappy. We are really trying to, as a nonprofit, not just respond to people's needs as a Band-Aid approach, but really think about how we can shape policy and get our community members involved so that we can prevent inequities and build a system of equity in general. We do general census outreach and voter registration every year. And we're also involved in a coalition called the Blue Line Extension, or the Metro Blue Line Coalition, I'm sorry. And that's helping people share their voices on how they want that project to roll out. And we are working on redistricting policy, and we have a general public policy platform. So helping our community members amplify their voices, understand what's important to them. We have already developed a public policy platform that we will use to kind of guide our direction for the next year and our engagement in public policy. We do a lot of community work. These are photos from the unrest in Brooklyn Center in April. We did an emergency distribution across the street. And yeah, that is the last slide I have for you. So this is my contact information here. This is our main line for CAPI. You can call that number with questions about any of the programs, but please feel free to text, call, or email me at that number or email. And I can connect you to the appropriate person at CAPI. We have, like I said, like 42 staff right now. So we do lots of different programs, and we're well connected in the immigrant community. So if you need referrals to other organizations, or if you have general questions, please just reach out. And yes, so this is kind of the point where I want to open it up for questions or discussion. It can be about programs that I had mentioned, if you have more specific questions, or just in general about CAPI, please feel free to throw it in the chat or just unmute yourself and let me know. I threw a lot of information at you guys, so I understand if you're overwhelmed here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. All right, so do you think there will be additional CAPI locations in the future? That's a really good question. We have talked about the need for culturally specific food in St. Paul. In different areas of St. Paul, there's higher Hmong and Eastern Asian populations in St. Paul. So we've talked about the need for another food shelf in that location, and we're kind of coordinating with Ramsey County on that in the moment. But I'm not sure. I don't think that's really a definite thing yet, but that's a really good question. And then, do you help with applications for citizenship? So no, we do not help with any citizenship or immigration status or legal side of things. That's more, I think, International Institute of Minnesota and Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota and resettlement agencies can assist with that. We have a list of organizations that we refer to when folks ask us about that, because they often think that that's something that we do. But no, we do not help with that. We're mostly focused on basic needs and economic empowerment for our services. Yeah, you're welcome, no problem. Yeah, what other questions are there? If there aren't any other questions, I'm gonna just throw my information here in the chat, and I would love to hear from you guys if you have referrals or any just general questions about our work. You can send referrals directly. You can reach out to me first. I'll get you connected to the right person, and you can send referrals directly to our emails if you have folks who are interested. And yeah, thank you so much for attending today, and I hope you have a happy weekend.
Thank you so much.